पोस्ट मत बनाना 2 मिनट तो मैं
Good afternoon, everyone. We have to start from page 31. Fourth paragraph, right? So what happened? The author, he went to London for 1 year, and when he came back, first thing he did, the first shop he visited was that of Mr. Jessler, and he was shocked to see the condition of Mr. Jessler there. He left him as a man of 60 and he came back and saw him as a man of 75. Means he was much more thinner, he was very old, he was looking more wrinkled, more thin, older than he was before a year ago, much older than he was a year ago. Right? Oh, Mr. Jessler, I said, sick at heart, how splendid your boots are. So then the first thing he did was he just stretched out his foot and tried to show Mr. Jessler the boots which he had made and how in how good condition they were. Still they were after he had been wearing it for all the time when he was abroad. Still they were not even half worn out. He looked long at my boots, a pair of Russian leather, and his face seemed to regain steadiness. Steadiness means his face seemed to regain uniformity. Right now, he tried to recognize because he was very weak now, so he appeared to be very infirm, and so his face he slowly started recollecting, and he went back and he was able to realized that these were the boots which were made by him. Putting his hand on my instep, he said. Instep? You know what is an instep? See, the instep is the place between the ball and the ankle of your foot, right? So that is the part of that is instep, right? You know the ankle. What is the ball? The area just after the toes, the place where the toe ends and the rest of the foot begins. In the sole, the lower part of your foot, the area that area is known as the balls, and ankle. So the middle part of the foot, you can say that is the instep. Right? So what did he do? He looked long at my boots, a pair of Russian leather, and his face seemed to regain steadiness. So his face again seemed to regain uniformity. Putting his hand on my instep, he said. So then he just put his hand on the instep and he said that do they bid you here means fit you here. So do they fit you here? Right? I had trouble with that pair, I remember. So I had trouble with this pair, I remember. Right? He wanted to be sure that his efforts they didn't go waste, right? Because he went down the memory lane and he recollected the time when he was making those shoes. He said that he wanted to confirm from the author whether they were fitting properly from that particular area, that is from the instep. He just poked it and asked the writer that whether they fit at that particular place properly, because he had trouble trying to make that portion of the boot. I assured him that they had fitted beautifully. So the writer assured him that yes, there is no problem. They fit beautifully. Definitely fit well. Do you want any boots? He said. Then he said that do you need any boots? Do you want me to make any boots for you? I can make them quickly. It is a slack time. Slack time means the period of inactivity, right? When there is not much work. So that is the slack period. So he said that this is the slack time. I don't have much work. You know the reason why he didn't have much work? Because he had lost his customers in due course of time, and so not many people visited his shop, and so he was without work most of the time. So he said to the writer that it's slack time for me, it's a period of inactivity for me, and I don't have much work. So if you want boots, I'll be able to make them for you very quickly. I answered, please, please, I want boots all round, every kind. Now the writer again became very emotional upon seeing the condition of Mr. Jessler, right? His condition was pathetic. And so he ordered all types of, I answered, please, please. So he said that, yes, yes, please to make boots for me. I need all round, all means all types of boots, all the kinds of boots I need. Please make them for me. I'll make a fresh model. So he said, fresh means fresh. So I will make a fresh model for you. Your food means your foot. Your foot must be bigger now because the shape of your foot must have changed after such a long time. And so I will take the fresh measurements, he means to say. And with utter slowness, he traced down my foot and felt my foot, only once looking up to see. So he followed the ceremony which he used to do earlier. Did I tell you my brother was dead? Then he just once, only once, while doing this, he just looked at the author only once and he said, did I tell you that my brother is dead? To watch him was painful. So feeble. Feeble means weak. So weak he had grown. I was glad to get away. So I was glad to get away means the writer was really glad. He was happy that he was out of that place. Because being with Mr. Jessler, seeing the condition of Mr. Jessler, pained him, right? His condition was really very bad. And the writer didn't want to be with him for a long period of time because it made him sad. So once he was out of that place, he was a bit relaxed, right? I had given those boots up when one evening they came. So he has almost forgotten about those boots. One evening they arrived to his place. They reached his house. Opening the parcel, I set the 4 pairs out in a row. So he just opened the parcel and arranged them in a proper row, in a line. Then one by one, I tried them on. There was no doubt about it. Shape and fit and finish and quality of leather. So there was no doubt either about the quality of leather. Still, in spite of facing so many problems, in spite of facing so many hardships, these people, that is Mr. Jessler, he never compromised with the quality of the product, right? There is a question in your workbook. In the story, quality, Mr. Jessler was destroyed but not defeated, right? He was destroyed, but he never compromised with his principle. He always believed in the idea of customer satisfaction until the end of his life. He never compromised with it. No matter whether he had money or no, or he did not have. These things didn't affect him. He was almost starving himself. He was losing customers, but still he never compromised with his principle. Perhaps that was the reason. That was one of the major reasons of his failure, right? Of him not being able to survive in this fast growing modern world. Because he never compromised. He was destroyed, but he was not defeated. So there was no question that the boots will not fit in shape, in fit, in finish, and in quality again. Any doubt about these things was out of question. Finding any flaw in these things was out of question. Quality of leather, they were the best he had ever made. So even his quality improved. The quality, the shape, the fit, the finish, everything was much better than what he had made for the author in the past. And in the mouth of one of the town walking boots, I found his bill. And in one of the town walking boots, what was there? The bill was kept. The amount was the same as usual. And he didn't even increase the price. Price was also the same. But it gave me quite a shock. But the writer was still shocked about something. So what was it? He had never before sent it in till quarterly. So earlier he used to send the bill only on the quarter day. I flew downstairs and wrote a check and posted it at once beside. So the writer was shocked that the bill came. The bill was sent to him before the quarter day. What is the quarter day? See, in England, there were 4 quarter days in a year. They were basically 4 festivals, right? Which were like uh, roughly around, roughly in an interval of 3 months. 4 festivals were celebrated, and they were known as quarter days because so in an interval of 3 months, it means that 4, right? There are 12 months in a year, and these quarter days, they used to fall roughly after 3 months. So there will be 4 quarter days in a year. And then these were the days when the servants were hired, when the bills were paid, and anything new was started. And all the quarterly payments were made. Those were the quarter days. Right? The rents were paid, the servants were hired, the bills, salaries, all these things were paid. All the dues were cleared. So these were the quarter days. So the writer was shocked because the bill was sent to him before the quarter day. It was not a quarter day, but Mr. Jessler sent him the bill. So what was the meaning of this? That he was in urgent need of money, right? That he didn't wait for the quarter day to send the bill. The bill was sent to him before the quarter day. So the writer realized it and he came downstairs. He rushed downstairs and immediately wrote a check and posted it at once with his own hand. Right? He understood the urgency. He understood the urgent need of Mr. Jessler and he posted the check immediately. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fitted. So, a week later, a week after sending the check, he was walking through that street and he thought that why not pay a visit to Mr. Jessler and tell him that he has really made wonderful boots and the boots, they fitted him really well. But when I came to where his shop had been, this name was gone. But when he entered the street, when he went near the shop, near the place where his shop used to be, he found that the board was gone. Still there in the window were the slim pumps, the patent leather with cloth tops, the street ID. But still, the board was no more, but still on the window, the same boots were kept which he had been seeing from his childhood. I went in, very much disturbed. So the writer got worried and he went inside the shop. In the 2 little shops, again made into one. Now those 2 shops, they were again made into one. Means when he entered. Maybe the person who bought the first one earlier, he bought the second one also. But made into one was a young man with an English face. So an English man was sitting there. Mr. Jessler in, I said. So the writer asked him, is Mr. Jessler inside the house? He gave me a strange, ingratiating look. What is an ingratiating look? Ingratiating means when you are like, you want some favor from someone. This is the way the shopkeepers, they normally look. You go to the veranda and talk. Aiye, madam, aiye. What can I do for you? What do you need? Right? This is the way whether you are just passing that way, they will just call you inside. Aiye. So that ingratiating, why? Because then they have this kind of expression on their face, ingratiating look. They want some favor from you. So that kind of look was there on the face of this English man who was sitting inside the shop. No, sir, he said no. So he said no. Because he asked, is Mr. Jessler in? Is Mr. Jessler there? I want to meet Mr. Jessler. So he gave an ingratiating look because he thought him to be the customer. That English man, that new owner of the shop, he must have thought the author to be the customer. And so he said that no, sir. He said no. But we can attend to anything with pleasure. Mr. Jessler is not here, but we can serve you with anything you want. What do you want? Any type of shoes. We have taken the shop over. You have seen our name, no doubt next door. And you must have seen our name, our new board. The name is made written in the board outside the shop. So you must have seen it. We make for some very good people. And we really make foods for some good people. That means for the royal family. Again, so they make goods for the good and high class people. So we can serve your needs. Whatever you need, we will be able to Yes, yes, I said that, Mr. Jester. So the writer was not interested in buying any boots. So he said, yes, yes, I know you make goods for the good people and for the royal people, but I want to meet Mr. Jester. Oh, he answered, dead. So he said that, oh, Mr. Jester, he is dead. He is no more. Dead? But I only received these goods from him last Wednesday week. So he said that I received these goods from him only last Wednesday. How can he die so soon? Ah, he said, a shocking word. He said, oh, it's shocking. Poor old man starved himself. So the poor old man, who is the poor old man here? Mr. Jessler. Mr. Jessler, this is what the Englishman told the writer, that Mr. Jessler starved himself. Good God. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. So now he is explaining how Mr. Jessler died. It was a kind of a slow starvation. Means he didn't have enough money even to feed himself. So he was not eating properly for a long period of time. See, this was his passion towards his work. So he didn't have enough to eat. Still, he never compromised with the quality of his goods, the quality of his boots. What would any other person do? Any other normal person? What would the person do? If I don't have enough money, I will go and buy a cheaper raw material. Right? But he never did that. This was his passion. You see, he went to work in such a way. Would keep the shop on. Wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except him. Yes. And the other thing which he did was, see, this paragraph is important because it will help you to understand the character of Mr. Jessler. And it will also tell you about the theme. So, would keep the shop on. Wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself. So, he didn't allow anyone. He didn't hire anyone. See, if he would have hired other people, helpers, maybe he would have not lost his customers. Because then quick delivery could have been possible. Earlier he said that people, they don't like to wait. They want everything very quickly. And because he was growing old, he was not able to work or complete his work so fast. So what happened to the customers? He started losing customers. This was also one of the reasons why he lost his customers. Why? Because he wanted to do everything on his own. He and his brother, they never hired anyone. They never had any helpers. So he wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself. Wouldn't have a soul means wouldn't allow anyone, any other person to touch his boots. He was so passionate about his boots that he didn't allow anyone else to touch them. This is what we do now. If we are very particular and very passionate about something, we won't allow anyone to touch it. No, you will spoil it. I will do it on my own. Right? So they were also very much passionate about their art. When he got an order, it took him such a time, people won't wait. He lost everyone. So whenever he got an order, it took so much time to complete that order that people, they went to some other person to buy the boots. Why will anyone wait? Nobody wants to wait. So he lost everybody. He lost everybody means he lost all his customers. They were lost because of this. And there he would sit going on, and there then he pointed to the place where he used to sit, and he day in and day out he used to sit there going on his doing his work. I will say that for him. Not a man in London made a better. So that Englishman said that yes, no doubt, no man in London, in entire London, can make better boots than him. But look at the competition. He never advertised. But then there is a lot of competition also. And the problem with him was that he never paid any attention to advertisement. Would have the best leather too. And then he never compromised with the raw material. So the reasons for the downfall of Mr. Jessler, Jessler brother. And it was not only the problem of Mr. Jessler, it was the problem of all the small artists. So, would have the best leather too. He never compromised with the quality of the raw material and do it all himself. And he worked on that leather all by himself without taking anyone's help. Well, there it is. What could you expect with his idea? So he said, so his death was a result of all these things. There it is. What else can you expect from such a man? Such a man who is not willing to change according to the time. What can you expect? But starvation. So you can only expect starvation from such a man. Such a man would starve only, no? If you don't compromise, if you don't adjust yourself to the changing time, obviously you will starve. You will come to an end. That may be a bit flowery as the saying. So then he said that I may sound a little flowery, I may sound a little exaggerated, but I know myself. But so this is the Englishman talking. He said, but I know he was sitting over his boots day and night. But though it might sound a little flowery, it might sound a little exaggerated, but I myself have seen him sitting day and night with his boots to the very last, till the time, to the very last means till the time he died. Till the time he died, he was sitting with his boots. You see, I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat. So he was so busy with his work that he didn't have even he didn't even eat properly. Never had a penny in the house. He didn't have enough money in the house. All went in rent and leather. So, and the money which he earned, the little amount of money which he earned, that was spent in paying the rent of the shop and in buying the leather. How he lived so long, I don't know. So he said that even this is really surprising that he was able to survive for so long. This itself is very surviving, very surprising. He regularly let his fire go out. Letting his fire go out means he would lose his temper, right? Regularly. See, once you are frustrated, you don't have enough to eat, you're not able to earn properly, then what will happen? And you are working hard, but people are not there to recognize your efforts. People are not there to value your efforts and the pains which you are taking. Obviously you'll become a bit short tempered, right? So he regular let his fire go out means he did not refrain from showing his anger. He was a character, but he made good moves. Though he was a character, though his nature was a strange, though he was a strange person, but still you cannot deny the fact that he made the best boots in London. He really made wonderful boots. Yes, I said he made good boots. So the writer said that yes, whatever you are saying is the truth. There is no doubt about it that he made good boots. And I turned and went out quickly, for I did not want that youth to know that I could hardly see. And so the writer, he became very emotional and he turned. The last sentence which he uttered to the Englishman was that yes, he made good boots, and then he immediately turned and left the shop. Why? Because he didn't want the youth to know that I could hardly see. What is the meaning of this line? That he didn't want that Englishman to see that there were tears in the eyes of the narrator, that is the writer, right? He became very emotional. It's when your eyes are welled up with tears, full of tears, then you can hardly see. Your vision is blurred. So the meaning of this line is that he didn't want to cry in front of that Englishman, so he left the shop immediately. So with this we come to the end of the story. If you have any problem, we can discuss.